Mira had always been intense, intensely beautiful, intensely intelligent, and intensely in love. When she met Adrian, it was as though the universe aligned just for them. He was charming and ambitious, the kind of man who could draw a room's attention without trying. But what Mira loved most about him was his devotion, or so she thought. For a year, their love burned bright, a whirlwind of passion and promise. Adrian told Mira she was his muse, the only one who truly understood him. She believed every word, clinging to him like he was the axis of her world. Until the day she found out the truth. Adrian was a liar. It started with a text. A name Mira didn't recognize flashed on his phone. Sophie. Mira's gut tightened, but she didn't say anything. She waited, watched, and pieced together the puzzle from the scraps he left behind. Messages, hurried calls, unexplained absences. Sophie wasn't just anyone. She was someone special. When Mira confronted him, Adrian didn't even deny it. Instead, he laughed, brushing her off like she was being dramatic. "Mira," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "You're amazing, but not everything's about you. Sophie's just a friend." A friend who sent late-night messages, called him baby, and wrote, "I miss you" in pink hearts? Mira broke. The betrayal ignited something primal in her, something dark and unforgiving. Adrian had promised her forever, but he had stolen it and handed it to someone else. She couldn't let him get away with it. She began to plan. Adrian had always loved surprises, so Mira decided to give him one he'd never forget. One evening, she invited him over for dinner. Her message was sweet, apologetic. "I overreacted," she wrote. "Let's talk, okay? I made your favorite." Adrian, ever the narcissist, believed he had won her back. When he arrived, Mira greeted him with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The table was set with candles, wine, and a steaming plate of lasagna, his favorite meal. They ate, laughed, and reminisced about better days. Adrian, as always, dominated the conversation, oblivious to the storm brewing behind Mira's calm demeanor. The drug took effect halfway through the meal. Adrian's head lolled to the side, his words slurring as he tried to speak. "Mira, what?" She stood, watching him with a mix of pity and rage. "You took everything from me, Adrian. My trust, my love, my sanity. Do you even understand what that feels like?" He tried to move, but his limbs were heavy, unresponsive. Mira dragged him to the basement. It wasn't difficult. The sedative had left him barely conscious. She had prepared the space carefully, a plastic-covered floor, a table with restraints, and a set of gleaming knives. Adrian woke to find himself tied down, his arms and legs spread out like a grotesque star. His head throbbed, and the sharp scent of bleach stung his nose. "Mira!" he croaked. She stood above him, dressed in a simple white dress that contrasted starkly with the dark fury in her eyes. "Do you know what they say about love, Adrian?" she said, her voice eerily calm. "They say it's the closest thing to madness. I never understood that, until you. Mira, please, let's talk." "Oh, now you want to talk?" She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Was Sophie worth it? What followed was a dance of precision and pain. Mira didn't want him to die quickly. She wanted him to feel every ounce of the betrayal she had endured. She carved words into his skin. Liar, cheater, betrayer. Adrian's screams echoed through the basement, but no one could hear him. When it was over, Mira stood back and admired her work. Adrian was barely alive, his body a canvas of blood and regret. "You always said I was your muse," she murmured. "Now you're mine." The next day, Mira walked into the police station, her hands still stained with Adrian's blood. "I killed him," she said, her voice steady. "I loved him, and I killed him." Her confession made headlines, her story captivating a nation. Some called her a monster, others saw her as a woman scorned, pushed to the brink by heartbreak. In her cell, Mira felt an eerie sense of peace. Adrian had destroyed her, but in the end, she had taken back control. and in the darkness of her prison, she whispered to herself, "Love may be madness, but revenge is justice."